infuriated many whites. Dempsey was a star of the golden era of sports. He was right beside Babe Ruth. Every bit as famous, every bit as celebrated as Babe Ruth. People don't remember that now, but that was the case. Joe Louis inspired Americans of all races for years as champion and served in the military and was just a remarkable character. Marciano was an Italian-American, so he resonated with that whole experience. Muhammad Ali, I think more people are probably a little more familiar with all the different levels on which he communicated with people, and, you know, for good and bad. I mean, Ali had plenty of critics, too. And then, of course, Mike Tyson, who just came along in the late 80s and landed like a comet, you know, and just, again, had that effect on people of, I've got to see this fight, I've got to watch, I can't miss it. And that's that kind of electricity that Tyson had and some of his predecessors had.
When you take a look at Muhammad Ali, acknowledged as probably the greatest fighter of all time, he had something beyond just that. What was it? Was it also the timing of what he did as far as the draft, too, that helped make him stand out?
Oh, certainly the choices he made and the times and the way that he inserted himself into the times, the way that he became involved politically, that is certainly accounts for a lot of his fascination. He was just a great fighter. There was no end to his heart and determination. For all of the flash and fanciness, when you got down into the pit with Ali, there was no give in the man at all, as George Foreman found out, as Joe Frazier found out, as many other opponents found out. So he was as great as he said, and that's pretty great considering what he said. But yes, his politics, his case with the United States government, his role in the late years of the Vietnam War, he just became someone about whom everyone had opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. You couldn't ignore Muhammad Ali.
Paul Beston is with us. We're talking about his book. I want to recommend it to you. It's called The Boxing Kings, When American Heavyweights Ruled the Ring. You mentioned about the seven, the very special seven, but there's other groups of champions like Floyd Patterson, Sonny Liston, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Larry Holmes, and Evander Holyfield. They have never reached the same level of recognition as the seven that you mentioned earlier. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's in some ways, for the most part, one of the happy coincidences in the book is that most of the guys who reach this social level of influence do tend to be some of the greatest champions, which makes sense in a way, because if they weren't very good fighters, they wouldn't be able to reach people in this other way. So, on the other hand, some of those guys are quite great champions indeed. I mean, George Foreman is a great champion. Larry Holmes. These are great heavyweights. I think it's just a product of circumstances. Holmes is a good example. He comes between Ali and Tyson. I mean, that is one tough job. It's a little bit like being George Harrison or something. I mean, that is not easy to do. And he just wasn't the kind of figure of personality who was going to have that same kind of impact on people. Evander Holyfield, quiet, soft-spoken, wonderfully admirable and a wonderful competitor. Just nothing really to dislike about him. But there's just that missing element, that mysterious element that some of these guys have that connects in a bigger way.
This book talks about other things, and I wasn't alive when this happened, so I want you to give me some insight to what it was like. The legendary Sullivan Kilrain fight of 1889, 75 rounds, bare knuckles in hellfire temperatures. I'm trying to picture what that was like.
Yeah, I did my best to picture what it was like, too, and I found myself thinking, why isn't there a movie about this?
Right.
You know, this is, 1889. Sullivan is the champion, and he has this challenger named Jake Kilrain. And, again, the first thing to remember is that at this time, as much public interest as there is in this fight, and it's being covered in the New York Times, the sport is illegal. So the Times is writing about the fight. Everyone's writing about the fight. They're talking about the odds. They're talking about who's in better shape. They're going to the training camps. Nellie Bly, the journalist, goes and visits Sullivan. It's all over the newspapers. And yet the fight is illegal. Nobody knows where the fight's going to be because they have to scramble somewhere to find a safe location where they can pull it off. So there's this great irony happening. There's all this kind of wonderful hypocrisy happening. You know, people can't wait to watch the fight even though they know it's illegal. So they find an out-of-the-way place in Mississippi, Richburg, Mississippi, and they construct a ring and get about 2,000 people there in wooden bleachers. It must be 100 to 105 degrees.